Tonight on Mental Health Matters with Marty, COVID schooling and college. Stay tuned. What's up, everybody? What's going on? Bringing you, greetings from out here in LA, La La Land. Welcome to Mental Health Matters with Marty here on this COVID edition of COVID schooling. I am Martina Sellers, your mental health hygienist, and I want to say, y'all, it's time to stay cool out there. It is blazing out here in California in the triple digits, y'all, but we are still keeping it fresh and doing what we do out here. And we are so glad. Listen, I want to thank everyone who's been following us with my co-host, Brother Thomas Davis, as we have been trying to bring you relevant, up-to-date information as it pertains to COVID-19 and schooling. It is so important. Now, our disclaimer, this show is intended only for educational purposes. We are not the CDC. However, we again want to bring you as our best, what we call best practices. Now, if you are going through a medical crisis or a mental health crisis, we definitely want you to contact your providers or call 911. Again, we want to bring you the best practices that we think are the best recommended practices across the nation. So we are bringing in what we call experts across the nation. We have college professors here tonight. We have students, we have teachers and professors here, and we are so excited. So y'all, the feedback has been amazing. If you have questions, please like and share. Put your questions in the comments. We will try and get to them. Tonight is part one of our college edition of COVID schooling, because as you've been seeing in the news, colleges have been affected across this whole nation. And we want to bring in experts and college professors and teachers and students in here who are going to be talking to us about their experiences and what they even recommend. Do we give up? No, we don't give up. We are all in this together. Have we seen this before? We have never seen this before, but we don't stop giving up the excellence and the quality of what we do and who we are. So without any further ado, I want to bring in my co-host all the way from the DMV. We still love him anyway. None other than Brother Thomas Davis. Yes.
Oh, you always in those jokes. What's up, Marty? What's going on, listening audience?
Listen, what's going on, Thomas? How you feeling?
Man, it's raining here in the great state of the DMV. Thunderstorms.
We need to get out these fires. You know, we on fire out here all the time. We're in fire season. In this fire season till about October.
Wow. Okay. Stay safe out there, man.
That's what we do. That's what we do.
Thomas, I'll visit you in November 1st. How about that?
Well, yeah, we'll still be about 70s in November.
Awesome.
Come on. That's how we do what we do. Man, how you doing? And how is life treating you, especially at your school, what you do? And for those who are joining us for the first time, who may not understand who you are, what you do, talk to us about, because you're a residential expert here on the Mental Health Matters with Marty and co-host by Thomas Davis.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, again, just greetings, everyone. We thank you so much for being on this evening. Please like and share with your friends, your families, your college students. This is a college edition part one. So we want to make sure that we are touching everybody, lottie-dottie, everybody. So we just wanted to say hello to everybody. I am Thomas Davis. I am a licensed counselor. I work in the District of Columbia in special education as a dean, and I'm just happy to be here. I don't want to take too much time talking about me. I want to really talk about who we have in the house tonight. We got some dynamic speakers, some dynamic words of wisdom, and I'm just encouraged and I'm just empowered that we are doing this. But Marty, I just want to say this to you. Can you believe that we've been doing this 4 Tuesdays?
Hey, this is what we do. Oh, wait. Before you even ask that question, you really did say lottie dottie.
Everybody.
Yeah, we got the hip hop expert on here tonight, and he's gonna have to school you on something whatever is new, because we ain't said lottie dottie in a while. You're dating yourself. I was at the Holly Ballroom at UC Berkeley. Hey, shout out to the Bears. That's how we roll. Watch it.
Gotcha.
Come on, you ain't ready for the '80s. You ain't ready.
What?
No, don't even try.
Hold on. the national holiday is Thursday. Don't forget that. Oh, really?
It is, and shout out, it's your birthday on Thursday. Yes, happy birthday to our co-host in here.
Yes,
but listen,
yes,
we
yes,
will have fun all day long. Listen, we want to start bringing in these amazing, amazing guests that we have. Since we're talking about hip hop, I want to bring in my guest here first. Hey, y'all, what's going on in that?
Hey.
I want to bring on Dr. S. He is the bomb. He's out there doing his thing on the East Coast, y'all. He is definitely an inspiration on how I even changed how I approach doing therapy with our young urban Black men and so forth. So without any further ado, I want to bring on the mental hip hop specialist himself, Dr. S, who has some amazing books all the way from the East Coast. Let's give him a warm Mental Health Matters with Marty welcome, man. How you doing, man?
What's up, Dr. S?
What's going on, brothers? How y'all doing? How y'all doing tonight?
We're doing all right. Listen, you're a young man out there doing your thing, man, on that East Coast, not just on a secondary school level, but you're also a college professor as well doing some work. Am I correct?
That's right. I'm a graduate professor in social work, and I teach policy this semester, and I teach practice usually at Kane University. So that's I'm an alumni there. So now I'm going back to teach.
That's amazing.
Right.
And we salute you because we need more brothers out there who's doing this. You're a young man with a beautiful family, man, doing
Appreciate
your thing.
that.
What really inspired you about your passion with doing this whole different approach to mental health by relating to our community through hip hop music and hip hop culture?
Yeah, thanks, Marty. So once again, I appreciate it. I'm happy for the opportunity to sit with you brothers. Y'all doing some amazing work. It really got started for me years ago when I first was trying to figure out what I wanted to do in terms of my purpose. It started because I grew up just doing hip hop. You know, I was doing music, I was rapping, I was making beats.
Yeah.
So when I sort of made the transition into the field of social work and psychology, I was utilizing hip hop as a way to engage young people because that was the initial conversations around what music do you listen to, what artists do you enjoy, and so from there I was making these connections with young people, and I was like, yo, I really need to utilize this in my practice, you know, really take this to the next level. So in 2017, I just decided to go full out with mental health, creating a platform and just being able to go into the communities and reach our kids and our young men and our young ladies as well with mental health, which is mental health education through hip hop culture. So that's how it all started.
Nice.
I'm gonna say so. That's dope. He's reaching out and doing these programs in our schools to let young people know it's okay that we go through transition. It's okay that we have anxiety, but we can deal with it. Man, you've been great with that. And
appreciate that.
I know all the littles now in the hip hop.
There's a lot of
littles in the hip hop community where we're doing that. But you have really been a great inspiration. I hope more people really understand and that we can still have and I love it because you're breaking barriers about mental health by saying, listen, we can study our own hip hop culture and address mental health through that. That is just amazing in my mind.
I appreciate that, Marty, because you know the music, the artists are using the music a lot of times to heal, right? So we know about narrative therapy. We know the impact of being able to tell your story, you know. But what I teach young people when we go into schools is that we don't want to ruminate on the issues and the problems. We really want to talk about that healing part too. So that's really the next phase of what, you know, mental health is all about too, is how do we solve some of these issues in terms of the things that we've been through in life. So it's really cool just to connect with our young people on that level.
Yeah, I love that. Go ahead, Thomas.
And Dr. S, I just want to give you like a major shout out because you're taking what our youth are listening to on a daily basis and adding it to mental health.
Yeah.
You are stepping out the box. So I just want to give you a huge shout out and thank you so much, sir, for all of your work. Thank you, man.
You notice how you brought that approach in, narrative therapy, you know. I appreciate
Right.
That's right. I had to put that in there. You know
Yes, sir. See, now it's evidence-based. Come on, somebody.
That's right. And Lolly Dottie is from Dougie Fresh and the Get Fresh.
Yes, thank you.
You know, I try to educate our young people on the historians of the music as well. We can't be talking about all the little guys, right? We gotta go back and talk about the history, the rock hymns, you know, to going all the way back to the KRS-Ones.
Yeah.
So I try to educate our young people as well. So as hip hop evolves into what we have today.
The real hip hop. That's what I'm talking about, Dr. S. I knew I liked you. Don't pay attention to Marty, y'all.
Nah,
don't even listen to him.
You was on point.
Don't even listen to him.
It's not wrong with a little lottie.
Yeah. Here's the thing. We're gonna invite your guest here, but I know one of my dear friends, he got a church, and that's their theme for the church. Lottie Dottie, we like everybody. I'm like, Listen, Thomas, introduce your first guest that's coming up with us, a professor, president himself.
Yes. So I just want to introduce everybody to a great dynamic brother. He is very passionate about education. He's very diverse. He has a background in finance, so he knows how to bring the money in. He's a great leader, and he is a president of a HBCU, Philander Smith College. So without further ado, I want to introduce to you Dr. Roderick L. Smothers. Welcome to the house, brother.
Yes, sir. That's right.
How you doing, Brother Smothers?
Okay, we got a little delay on your camera there.
I think we have a little bit of a delay on you.
Yes, Smothers. That's why we're gonna bring him back.
Right. All right. We got another guest.
Yes. Introduce your students that we have, and we're gonna talk about this as well.
Right. So we have two great students from the American University. The first young man I want to introduce to you is Mr. Tamir Harper. He is a junior. He is majoring in a lot of great things. He's doing a lot of work. He is so distinguished. He's poised. He's the man. And then the other young man is Joshua Dantzler. He's a rising senior at the American University in Washington, D.C. Notice I said the American University.
The American University.
Black man of color at a PWI.
All right. Come on, bring them on in. Yes.
What up, guys? What's going on?
Hey, Mr. Davis.
How you doing?
We're back formal, Mr. Davis. I'm not gonna lie. I saw y'all in the virtual studio when he said "Lottie Dottie." You were checking your head. Come on.
Wow. I'm showing my age, right?
We give you a pass after your birthday week.
Okay. Right. All right. So we're gonna jump right into this.
Yes.
How are you guys doing? I know y'all missing being on campus and you missing your friends. So how are you all doing?
It's hard. We started yesterday, so school has begun. Second day out here, and it's definitely something that was an adjustment. Getting adjusted to not just the courses, but also working remote, and not having the traditional first day things, not having the first day, with your friends, not having the meals in the cafeteria, not on the quad. So all those traditions that I look forward to, and I've looked forward to, just having those not be there just made yesterday feel so different and unique.
Yeah.
Wow. Thank you for sharing, man. Mm-hmm. Happy first day.
Right.
So, Mr. Harper, tell us how you're doing. Like, how are you feeling about this?
Yeah, it has been a stressful journey, to say the least. We started classes, like Josh said yesterday. Once Zoom had a partial outage in the middle of the start of one of my classes, actually.
Wow.
So we've faced many trials and tribulations, but at the end of the day, we understand that we are here to get a degree so that we can go home and be effective in our communities one day. So we're pushing through and getting through it, but it is going to be a tough semester virtually, but we truly believe this is a great decision for the university to make so that we can stop the spread of COVID.
Excellent. Awesome.
It looks like we got Dr. Smothers back, and let's bring him on too. There we go. Doc, how we doing
now? Can you hear me? Can you see me?
Yes, we got you. We got you.
The Lottie Dottie kind of knocked me out. My phone dropped and everything. So I totally just, as this brother is younger than me, I know, and how the heck does he remember Lottie Dottie? But hey,
right.
One of those days. We're in the middle of COVID-19, so I guess more strange things could happen.
There we go. So how are you doing, Dr. Smothers?
I'm good. How are you all doing? I am thoroughly enjoying this. Such great energy on the exchange this evening. So thank you so much for the invitation.
Thank you for being on this thing with us tonight. So how are you doing on campus with your students? And if you could just give us like an overview of where things are there.
So look, yeah, absolutely. And again, just honored to be amongst such great thinkers and men of action tonight. So I'm president of Philander Smith College, which is a historically Black college in Little Rock, Arkansas. We are affiliated with United Methodist Church. We have around 1,000 students, and we are the home to, I often say, Dr. Jocelyn Elders, who was the first woman African-American Surgeon General under the presidency of Bill Clinton. So anyway, we opened last week with about 200 students on campus. We gave our students this year 3 options, and it's good to see you, Brother Tamir. I know that you all have been moving things out in your area, and we've been following what's been going on at Howard University, but we offered our students 3 choices. The first choice was virtual, the second choice was face-to-face instruction, and the third choice was a combination of virtual and what we call hybrid learning.
Yes.
We offered the residential options to our freshmen and sophomores only, and I will tell you, those students are there. They are excited. They are putting safety and health first. And so far, I'm crossing my fingers. So far, it has been without incident. And that's not, so I'm knocking on wood. It's not to say that it won't be that way tomorrow, but we listen to our students in this process. We surveyed our students at the end of the academic year, and they told us, for many of them, and many of you know the demographics of our HBCU students, they said, hey, look, this online learning, this virtual learning thing just is not for me. And so in listening to our students, we provided that opportunity for them, and we're thankful that we did. We're also moving forward with our athletics this year, and so look forward to telling you more about that as we proceed. I don't want to be too long-winded.
No, Doctor, let's go back to your question here. In that we have a question from Sharma Brown. She talks about our students, and you can address that, and then Dr. S, once you kind of, if you could address some of that too. Are students adhering to social distancing on your campus?
So look, let me say that I am knocking on wood because my students have been quite compliant as far as I can see. I was on campus on last week, and I ran into a group of freshmen from Dallas, Texas. They 3 young brothers, they were walking around with their masks on. Now, their version of social distance and our version of social distance as advised by the CDC are totally different.
Right.
One foot apart for them is like being 6 feet apart. However, to see that they're wearing their masks, that they are, sanitizing their hands often, using the sanitizing stations. We have thermometer stations around campus. Before they go into the cafeteria, they're having to take their temperature. So they have been quite compliant. And so, I've been fortunate. Now, I'm not saying that next week it won't be a different story because, as you know, cabin fever is something else. However, today, yes, they have been compliant.
Awesome. Yeah. That's good.
Now, Dr. S, where you're at and doing your are they coming back live, or is everything still virtual for your students that you interact with?
It's going to be virtual, and we actually start next week. So I don't have any feedback yet on how we're going to be doing in terms of the social distancing, but I do know that King University is taking steps to sort of slow things out because I'm out here in New Jersey. We've been doing pretty well for the most part because we got hit early on. So for the most part, we are ready to sort of just start the year off, virtually, and then hopefully transition into face-to-face once we have the okay.
Awesome. Okay.
Yeah, you're right. Y'all on that Jersey, New York, Connecticut. Y'all did it right.
Right.
Cali, we still out here suffering because everybody want to go to the beach and do all that. And, Governor Newsom talking about shutting everything back down. And we went back to phase 2 again. And, folks is upset because they can't get their feet. And, we're out here in La La Land. We got the movie camera action. And I want to be glamorous out there, but like, take your crusty behind and do your own. Get the home. That's why I got this ball head now. The home.
You know what? I can't. So let's just jump right into it with our college students. So, I noticed that both of you guys stated that you all are starting at home. How does that make you feel as a rising senior and as a rising junior?
Good.
As a rising,
go ahead, Joshua.
I would say as a rising senior, it definitely makes everything challenging because as someone who, likes to learn in person, likes to, be with people, give your energy,
right.
It's definitely hard. And so I think it's challenging specifically, when it comes down to study groups, who I'm going to study with, when it comes down to like group work, how does group work? It's really individual and kind of isolated. So you definitely have to like figure out, ways to maneuver that.
Right.
In your space, right? Like I'm taking all my classes in this room of mine. I'm not going to, this building, that building. I'm not going
right.
to see different professors. It's all really confined in one room and confined in one way, which can be, again, very isolated.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I think you hit the nail on the head where it's like you're isolated in one space, but as well as you're not getting that social interaction. As an extrovert, as a person that enjoys being around people, but as well as a person that just was initiated, I have 4 dope line brothers that I'm not able to interact with daily like I was expecting to. So it has been definitely challenging, but I moved back to DC because I wanted some type of college experience, even if it wasn't an in-person experience.
And thank you so much for just sharing. And I hear that you guys talked about the word isolation and feeling connected. Those are important things that we need as individuals, whether we are on campus, whether we are at home, whether we are hanging out with our friends. We don't want to be isolated. And so I just sympathize with all colleges who have to make this decision to keep us at home in order for us to be safe. But I also see it as well as opportunities for us to not have COVID, potentially. So there is a gift and there is a curse. But I just kind of want to ask another question. So how do you guys remain involved virtually on campus?
And the social connections.
So I think it's like, for Josh and I specifically, I think we have no other choice. We are both been granted the opportunity to lead different groups, but also to be active. So I'm in charge. I'm the editor-in-chief of the Black Print, which is one of our student media organizations, but as well as just being active through other entities and parties. So I think we're kind of just like, you have no other choice. But I also think people are figuring out ways, if that's from group chats to being in just Zoom conversations, to even doing Google Hangout, just to be able to interact and check in with people. Because we're all thinking, well, we're stuck in the house. Somebody wants to talk about something. We want to know what's going on in society. If you're in LA, I want to know how that weather's feeling while it's about to downpour here. So we've been figuring out ways to interact with one another.
Yeah.
Good.
Dr. S, what do you even recommend for students like that? I know you deal with all age groups. I know there was some questions on here from Sharma Brown again, and we want to deal with that. It says, how are you going to, can you put that question up, that one? Yes. How are you going to deal with the mental health of students, and do you have counseling available? I want to ask Dr. Randy and Dr. Smothers of those 2 questions about that, and how do you deal with it? Because I know you have that great mental hop. So how can students access mental health therapy and during that time?
Yeah,
so definitely. Go ahead, Doctor.
I would say definitely the brothers they're on to the right thing, which is now there's like we have to make a decision to actually be more proactive in how we reach out to one another. Another thing is, in terms of mental hop and therapy, we just went virtual. So one of the things that I was able to do is I was able to shift the platform from in-person instruction, consulting in high schools, to really going into that virtual space through Zoom and using the platform to still talk about hip hop, still talk about feelings, still empowering our young people, but just doing it in this virtual space. And I think our young people have done well with that pivot. It's not easy all the time to take therapy when you're doing it in that office space, one-on-one,
Right.
and then transition it into like this virtual world.
Yeah.
But what I think is it's all about having that relationship with those you service. It's all about engaging them and letting them know that your healing doesn't have to stop because of this COVID-19. We can still continue on this journey together, and I'll be with you. So the brothers are doing the right thing, because you have to. This is all about being creative and finding new ways. It's sort of COVID has sort of put us in the position now we have to shift, and with shifting comes with that growth. And comes the ability to sort of grow in different ways. So I love what they're doing, and it's all about self-care at the end of the day. We need that social interaction to kind of stay on the right track.
I'm over here taking some notes, sir, so keep talking.
Right. So back to that same question, Dr. Randy, is now, can outside people, maybe even our viewing listeners, can they be a part of your mental hop through Zoom that you do? Is it open, or you have just your closed group that you do? Because I know some folks on here want to get some students on.
Definitely, because mental hop is mental health education through hip hop culture. So it's actually an educational group. It's not a therapy group. So it's like really that the format that we have it going on right now. It's an opportunity for us to come together, and I bring up different topics. We talk about self-care. We talk about healing. We talk about following your dreams, following your passion.
Yeah,
so
that's good.
At the end, I could definitely share, and I'm going to definitely schedule a hip hops and a mental hop symposium where people can come on, and we just have some good conversation around the culture and around how to grow.
That's good.
I got some clients I need to refer to, so thank you. That's what I'm asking. I was a little selfish. Dr. Smothers, on that, a couple questions here talks about, again, how do your students access mental health support? And then Dr. Calvin Green talks about how are college students handling the support of students with disabilities during this pandemic? And I know it has to be challenging.
Yeah, sure. So let me just say, first of all, this is a great connection, because I may have some business for my good social worker in his mental hop. And
that's right.
So let me first commend Brother Josh and Brother Tamir for just persisting through this new normal, right? Which we are all still defining. We are all still adjusting to this new normal. One of the things we've done at Philander Smith College is obviously made sure that the services are available to our students, and many of them are now taking advantage of the option that we now refer to as telehealth or telemedicine, right? Where they're able to see a counselor, see someone in the profession via Zoom or whatever format they're using. But the other part is the part we are, and that's why I'm glad we're having this discussion tonight, the one that we rarely talk about, especially in the African-American community. And that's really just the taboo around seeing a counselor.
Yes.
We have had students who have been dealing with some of what I call the depression around COVID-19.
That's it.
Right.
Did not even realize that they were depressed.
Yes.
And so we are really encouraging our students to just have conversations. We're calling it conversation therapy with our academic advisors and with our chaplain. And ultimately, that may lead to them being referred to someone who is in the profession. And so I think that we have to be there for our students to just begin with conversations and being able to recognize what some of those signs are. And obviously, when we did the survey, the United Negro College Fund did a survey as they helped their 37 member institutions to prepare for going back to school or reopening in some way.
Right.
And when they surveyed the students, over 4,500 students surveyed from our 37 member institutions, at least 50% of those students said that COVID-19 had affected or impacted their mental health, mental stability in some meaningful way. And I've always said as a president, and this was prior to COVID-19, that if I had $3 million to invest in a pet project at my institution, at the top of the list would be making more mental health services available for our students. Because in this new normal and prior to this new normal, we are finding that our students are more challenged with issues around mental health. They just don't know how to identify it. And so having those counselors and others available to help them, in their own language, say, you know what, you may want to talk to somebody. Here, the Mental Hop initiative, for me, just says, hey, look, this makes it cool. This makes it open for me to have that discussion, and we need
Right.
Exactly.
Right. And I just want to say, Dr. Smothers, thank you so much for sharing. But I want to go back to Dr. S. So we got 2 doctors in the house and 2 Dr. S's. So we're going to roll with it. So when you was talking about COVID-19, understanding that this is a time that we all have to shift our mindsets, right?
Yes,
and change how we are going to live after COVID. So what you brought up was a great point. As we talking about this whole thing around mental health, stepping outside of our norm, how do you think people are really adjusting and recognizing to say, hey, I'm just not okay? How do you think that our students on our college campuses are now looking at access to mental health services?
Those are great questions. I think right away, COVID-19 has sort of peeled back the curtains and peeled back the layers of what a lot of challenges and issues that we were facing. So we were already dealing with stigma around mental health. We were already dealing with stigma around therapy and counseling for our people. We already knew that there was so much taboo sort of talk around going to a therapist. But now that we're having to be inside and we can't connect with our friends and go out and party and socialize as much as we used to, those are ways that we were sort of filling those voids and those gaps. We're using other methods to sort of try to heal, you know, and I think right now we understand that there's a need for us to say, you know what, at the end of the day, healing, we deserve to heal. I want to make it cool for our people to say, I'm going through something, I need the help. And it's okay. We need to normalize it because we need to demystify what happens when you walk into that office and sit on that couch. Because a lot of times we just never knew what was going on behind those closed doors. So that's the educational piece that a lot of times we fear what we don't understand. So bringing that understanding, bringing that new knowledge around mental health, wellness, and doing it through the lens of hip hop, which is it's this creative arts, building resilience and being able to push forward. And when we're going through things. So that's what it's really about.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing. All right, so let's go to our college students. All right. So one thing that I learned, and I have not been out of school that long, so don't take the lottie-dottie and get it twisted. Let's just keep it real. One thing that I just want to say, like when I was on campus, you know, when you went into the counselor's office or when you went into that particular little small building that everybody knew that was either the nurse or the psychiatrist, you know, how is it as a man of color? How are we as men comfortable enough to walk on that campus and go and say, hey, I just need to just talk about something?
Good question. Great.
Go ahead.
I think we're still navigating it. Dr. Smith about it, you know, in that it's hard, right? It's hard for us as college students to identify and get help. It's hard for us as people of color. It's hard of us, specifically as men of color. And I think the way that we, you know, try to change it is we do become vulnerable and share our stories, right? So I think it doesn't happen overnight. It's not. I'm seeing that at my school. It's not happening overnight. It's not happening the way, but it's happening really small by folks saying, "Yes, I saw this person. Yes, I went to the counselor. Yes, they were helpful. You should go too." And so I think, you know, if there's any like college peers of ours that's on, it's definitely like being vulnerable, and that's not always easy, but you know, providing the spaces and places to be vulnerable with. So like I can be vulnerable with my fraternity brothers, and you know, and tell them, and in hope that they can be vulnerable with their friends, and you know, it's like a cycle start. So it's not been easy, but I think, you know, we're starting it.
Thank you.
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
Yeah, no. I think we have a lot of work to do, honestly. It's going to take an investment and a commitment from universities that are PWIs and HBCUs to say they want to commit to ensuring that the mental health and well-being of students come over academics. And once we have that commitment, as a Black man, I've walked into the counseling center and was like, whoa, this doesn't feel right. And I had a great therapist for the 2 months that I was able to have one before COVID ruined everything. Dr. B at the counseling center. But it takes, one, for us to share stories, but two, for us to actually make a commitment on the higher education level, but also on a K-12 level. I'm studying education, so everything relates back to K-12 for me. It's also a commitment on a K-12 level that we have to ensure that young people feel as though counseling is an option for them.
And so, this is great food. Like,
Mm-hmm.
we only have an hour, but I'm trying to like go real quick. But one of the things that I think that we need to really share with our college listening audience is mental health is not just because you got high anxiety or you stressed out or my dog died. Being on a campus, being on a college campus, we got to be accepted.
Mm-hmm.
We want to be connected with people. We want to have a dating life. We want to be a part of the sororities and the fraternities. So these are all different stressors that you guys face on college campuses. So I want to ask Dr. Smothers this question. How do you guys as a university really address all different types of stressors? Because what I want to do this evening is just put it out there. Mental health is not just what we think that the traditional mental health is. We're all battling with something, self-included. So how do you guys recognize that on campus? And how do you guys make sure that you all are touching students or at least opening that door for them to have access to services and support?
Yeah, thank you, Thomas. And again, just appreciate Brother Josh and Brother Veer just being so open with us this evening. That's they are doing what many of our students in our communities are not willing to do, and that is talk about it. That is admitting that there is a vulnerability. Obviously, all of a sudden, COVID-19 is causing us to come face to face with someone that many of us did not even know, and that's ourselves, right? And so this notion of self-actualization has become a reality for many in COVID-19, right? You find yourself in these four walls and you are faced and you're dealing with somebody who you really didn't even know, right? And so at Philander Smith College, we've done a few things to help our students pre-COVID and especially during COVID. We're a church school. One of the reasons why I love working at private HBCUs that are church affiliated, because we can unapologetically worship and serve God together. Now, I serve Jesus Christ, and my neighbor next door may have a totally different denomination, but we come together and we praise and worship our higher power together. And we do that once a week in face, and we do that once a week virtually. And we bring in various speakers who can help to speak to some of the issues that we need to be in touch with spiritually, in our inner man, in our soul man. So that's the first thing that we do. And I'm proud to say that as a church affiliated institution, we can still offer that. The second thing is having support groups. So we have an organization called Empowering the African American Male. And Empowering the African American Male, for example, is just a group of brothers who come together with our chaplain, who sit around now in a virtual circle. They even do social distance circles now, and they talk about issues that our brothers and our sisters are facing. Issues that many times, we are not willing to talk about. I mean, they talk about those taboo issues, and that has been very therapeutic for our students. And then finally, I just finished I teach the freshman colloquium class, and so it's the honor students for my freshman class. It's typically about 75 to 100 of them each semester. And we had our first class meeting today. And one of the things that I do in my class is I make sure that my students journal and that they write so that they can go back and learn from those journaling experiences. So I'm looking forward to seeing some of the journal entries from my class for this year. I think that's going to be some of the most instructive and powerful data that we can have pre-COVID now and going forward, because I think that even though this new normal could perhaps be impacted by Project Warp Speed, even if we have a vaccine, by January, the reticence that we have in our community around getting the vaccine, we're going to be in this situation for at least another year. And I think we're going to have to do everything that we possibly can to prepare and help our students to do that. So those are just a few things we've done at Philander Smith College, but creating those venues, those avenues for release. So Mark, what that release is, because when that pressure continues to build up, and we know you professionals on the line, we know that what happens when you shake up a Coke bottle, right?
Right.
You shake up a beer bottle. Eventually, it's gonna pop.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
We have to get these students
Right.
engaged in situations
You're
before
talking.
they pop. Right.
You're
That's
talking.
what I consider my role as an administrator and as a
Love
president, as our faculty members. If it is writing, if it is expressing themselves, we have to get to these kids before they pop, because when they pop, then they're gonna end up shooting up the place or
Yeah.
doing things that we could have prevented just by simply giving them that avenue. And so
That's right.
that has to be our daily responsibility. And unfortunately,
You're talking.
in the midst of COVID-19, we are having to remake and rethink that on a daily basis as the data and the science changes with it.
Right.
Dr. Smothers, is Dr. Smothers a preacher?
No. Yes, he is.
He gave us a three-point message.
3 points.
Look, I'm not a preacher, but I always have a word, my brother.
Come on, that's right.
I always got a word.
All right.
Yes,
Marty,
yeah.
Can we just tell our listening audience that none of this is scripted?
No,
we did not plan none of this dialogue. And Dr. Smothers said something about writing, that we got to write and express ourselves. So I want to ask Dr. S.
That's it.
How do we get our kids our students, our peers, our professionals to write in hip hop? Because we all have a story. So how would you tell a college student to write their thoughts?
To be honest with you, I don't even care if it's in hip hop or if it's in poetry or if it's in short little journal entries. All I really want is for our students to be able to get those feelings out. Yeah. And if they can get it onto the paper, or even using their voice recorders on their phone. It's really about finding ways to journal and get those feelings from the inside, get them out. Because like the doctor said, when you keep that stuff inside, it's like a weight. And it weighs on you over a period of time. So the journaling is extremely therapeutic. It's a coping skill that we use all the time, with students. I had a great professor in my graduate program that it wasn't even her role to do this, but she infused self-care in everything that we did. Almost every instructional thing that she did gave us a little bit of nuggets around the importance of taking care of ourselves during that academic journey. So I think that's so important. And if we can journal, that's a great coping skill to sort of alleviate some of that stress you may be feeling throughout the semester.
Right. And you brought up a great point about self-care. So to our great dynamic college leaders.
Right before you go to that.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to get them. I'm sorry.
All right.
One of the self-care things that I use that Dr. S has, here's what I'm going to do. His shape. He has a book out, y'all.
All right.
Called, listen, Good Morning Wake Up Calls for Life. You need to get this book. Talking about self-care. This is one that's going to bring you some self-care to help stay grounded, like Dr. Smothers was saying, in your journaling. This is an amazing one. I'm plugging Dr. S. Listen, all y'all on here need to go ahead to Amazon or what have you and get this book immediately, because it's going to help you stay grounded in your walk and what you need to do. So I jumped off because I had to get that, because to show that all of that is important.
Right.
You need to wake up. Like you said, this is a new challenge that we're in. You need to wake up and say, good morning, day. Whether we might still be in COVID, but I woke up to see another day. I have a passion and vision that I still need to get birthed out of me. So good morning, wake up to my life as it is. It may not be the life that we currently chose, but it's the life that we're in right now. And because of that, and because I've said, Dr. S, come on, talk to us real quick.
Marty, let me make I appreciate that plug as well. So that book actually came from my when I was in the doctorate program. Every morning I was waking up and journaling in my phone. So after a while, I started to share some of my own personal journal entries, and then people would say, "Can you share more? Can you share more?" To the point where I took every single journal entry from my phone and moved it into a book format and presented it to people. So when people read that, they're reading my good morning messages to myself to encourage myself. And I was hoping that these entries could encourage the readers as well. And it sounds like that's what it's able to do. It's an easy read, short passages with a lot of white space for people to write their notes and jot things down. So I'm happy to share that with the people.
Dr. S, I am really vibing with you, Dr. S. And you and I are here tonight because you always know where I'm about to go. The best experience that we have in life is through our stories, right?
Yes.
The good, the bad, and the ugly. So being on college campuses or just being a college student, period, whether you at home, whether you on campus, whether you sitting in your kitchen, you still have a story.
Yes.
And so I'm just trying to just encourage our listening audience to don't shy away from that. Write your story.
Share your story, yes.
While we at home during COVID, use your focus groups on college campuses because we ain't gonna have that time no time soon. We need to figure out ways to keep empowering each other. How are we going to continue to keep each other engaged? Because not everybody is at home that's happy, right? Some of our college people don't want to be at home. So how are we going to empower others to keep moving forward? So write your stories, do your journals. So I just want to ask our college students real quick.
That's it.
How do you guys practice self-care? How do you practice self-care at home?
So go ahead, Joshua.
Yeah, so we've been quarantining in COVID since March, so I kind of got to rotate a little bit. But I'm outside. I'm walking. I am riding my bike. I got a bike, and I try to bike, some miles and just even shoot basketball.
Right.
Do whatever I can to be outside because being inside and cooped up is just not it for me. So family walks outside, listening to music, taking bike rides. That's really good self care. Just be outside.
Got you. Thank you.
Great.
Mr. Harper?
Yeah, no, so I keep a good moleskin, no lines next to me. It ain't nearly as good as it needs to be for the long days. So I do journal for days that are very stressful. I'm a walker as well. Sooner or later, I'll get back into running. I was a cross-country runner in high school. So hopefully this semester will be the semester that I can get back into running because it was truly a self-care mechanism for me. But also just honestly, just laying down with no phone, no computer, no technology around me, and just able to breathe for a second is always useful.
Thank you so much. And Dr. Smothers, how are we teaching students on campus how to also have some self-care? Because if we think about it, we as college students, even myself, I ain't trying to walk on no campus with no mask on all day. That's a stress within itself.
So I think, Thomas, we do exactly what Joshua and Tamir just said. Really, provide them with examples of avenues around how they might do that. While they and clearly these dorm rooms are much smaller than the average room at home, and so they're confined in a smaller space. For us, for example, we don't have a roommate situation this year. All of our students have a private room. But, getting them to get out on the campus and enjoy themselves or take a walk. I mean, we're in a downtown community and, there are lots of sites. We're right up the street from Central High School, which is a national tourism spot. We encourage our students to get outside of the gates of campus, protecting themselves, of course, explore. We have not far from the campus a place called Pinnacle Mountain. And Pinnacle Mountain is a beautiful site. It is a national park. And I have seen so many of our students this summer, for example, at Pinnacle Park, climbing the mountain, enjoying the outdoors. And so, giving them, putting more benches on the campus so that students can sit outside and read and do homework and socialize. And so doing all of those things, I think, are ways that we can help them to do that. But Thomas, the other thing I want to say, and it's one of the reasons why I keep mentioning Tamir and Josh's name, is because I had a mentee at the end of this last year. He was a senior in college, and I just started working with him during his senior year, and we worked with him, got him an internship, and he got a job offer as a result of that internship. Wow. And at the end of it, I told him, this mentee, I said, "Hey, bro, I'm proud of you." And he just broke down in tears. And I said, "Well, why are you crying?" I mean, other than the fact that he's got a job making double what I was making when I got out of college. As a student. But he was crying because, number one, he didn't have a father at home. His mother raised him as a single parent. And more importantly, he had never had anyone to say, "I'm proud of you." And so I think that we as adults, as administrators, as professional service providers, we have to also continue to encourage our students, because while we encourage them to journal, we encourage them to journal their stories today, what we don't know is the story from which they've come.
Yeah.
Many of those are traumatic, and they are still trying to figure out how to deal with that childhood trauma.
Right.
And so when they get to college, when they get to our colleges and universities, understand that we are dealing with all of it. We're dealing with the past, we're dealing with the present, and we're dealing with who they want
future.
to become.
Yes.
And then that becomes our responsibility to make all these things come together. And if we don't have professionals there to help them along the way, to talk to them, to encourage them, then, hey, we are not successful in producing and educating that whole student so that they can go out into the world and make it better.
Right. Wow. Thank you, sir. 3 points again.
Yeah.
3 points again.
Because we are, and I say this, 3-part beings, mind, body, and soul. So we're dealing with their past, present, and future. So that
absolutely.
So we as I say, forgetting those things behind, but we cannot forget the past from which we come from, and so many have forgotten that, so that we can deal with the present and then press towards the future with that. And it's a great spot, and I'm grateful for. I wish every college president were like you. And pouring into those students, also giving them a choice. Those of you who need to work virtually, you work virtually. Those of you who need this hybrid model, we will work with you on that. And those of you who need the contact, especially what we fail to realize is our foster youth, our homeless youth. When we say work, where do they go? Do they have a college campus to go to?
Right.
I'm grateful that you have given them that opportunity, because we just say, well, we have to social distance, we got to shut everything down. But you said, no, there are some kids who are coming from tumultuous in home environments, who
absolutely
learn at home, who need that to come to their college campuses, because that's their sanctity. That's where they can just get power for the future, and then get time to even know who they are and where they're going. Because now I have a Dr. Smothers that I can talk to. I have a Dr. S that I can talk to and share our stories. I have a Joshua, a Tamar that I can connect with in that. And so I can now do these things that I desire.
And it's a safe space. It's a safe space for young people.
Yep.
Like, we got to understand that things happen when you're 18, you're 19, and you're 20s. Those are our forming years, right? Because we're striving to be independent. Mama don't know what we're doing when daddy ain't around. Mom and dad is not always around. So sometimes they need to be a way to find that safe space, and most of all, find out who they are outside of themselves, around from their parents. So that's very key.
May I ask Dr. S a question? Because I
of course.
Look, I need some assistance tonight. I know that so I got on here hoping to learn from both of you, all of you practitioners on here. So one of the things that we are struggling with, and I say this as a point of vulnerability, because I lose sleep at night sometimes trying to figure out how to best help, how to best serve my students. And so we have not only this global health pandemic, but we have this racial injustice epidemic going on. And I have students who have been out on the front line, a part of the protest, dealing with the death of Ahmaud and George. And I mean, these brothers and sisters who have fallen, and fought the good fight, and who have fallen for this cause. And I am struggling around how to best help my students move beyond the protest line and not be so disencouraged by what is or what isn't happening as a result of the 2 or 3 weeks that they were intensely protesting. That's number one.
Good.
The second one is, as you know, many of us have lost loved ones as a result of COVID-19. And we have not had an opportunity to go through the proper stages of grieving with the loss of those loved ones. I personally had a very good friend who fell to COVID-19. We didn't get to see him. I mean, it was terrible. And I still feel like there is a part of me that is a void, because I didn't get to say goodbye to my good friend. And our students are dealing with some of those same things.
That's good.
What advice can I take back to, my faculty and my administrators who are helping our students to cope with these types of things on a daily basis?
Wow, that's good. That's good.
That's a great question. I mean, it's something that I think every probably university campus right now, I mean, talking about an issue that's current right now, this day, is so important. And I think it's about solidarity, right? Does each campus have a safe space where students can come to and be able to share those feelings and those emotions that come from the different incidents that have taken place in this country over the last couple of months? Do they have a safe space where they can share and talk about being angry, being frustrated, being depressed and sad about what's going on, but also being hopeful, because we don't want our students to lose hope? I think a lot of times the reason why we're seeing our young people on the front line is because they're ready for change. I think the energy is out there. They're saying we want to be part of this change, not only part of it, we want to ignite it. But at the same time, we need to give them that safe space to be able to process those feelings, because like anything else, it could be extremely overwhelming, because back to back incidents that take place, we never really get a chance to reset. And I'm talking personally as a clinician, as a therapist. You know, I get through one incident and I feel like I'm okay, and boom, we get hit with something else. And I feel like I just got through that incident and I'm starting to process it, and then boom, something else happens. So this constant state of resetting and going through it, we need to be able to bring ourselves together. And I love the solidarity of my colleagues, my brothers, my sisters, who allow me to share in forums like this where we could just talk about what's going on. And in terms of the grieving, nothing is the same anymore. This COVID-19 has sort of shifted everything we thought about, how we grieve, how we do things. And we know amongst our people, seeing our loved ones and having these ceremonies, that's part of the healing process for us. It gives us an opportunity to say goodbye in these sort of ways that is not like any other community. But again, we have to find a way to be creative. We are resilient people. Overall, we'll find a way to still share and celebrate the lives of our loved ones in different ways. And it may be just a new way of sort of thinking how we can do that. And I know a lot of people have shifted to virtual sort of ceremonies and getting together with family members. And I think that's going to be the way that we do things moving forward. You know, and still celebrating their lives, even though we're not being able to be with them face to face.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
That's so true. Oh my God, this is so good. Y'all, can you believe we're at an hour already, and we're just barely scratching the surface?
Barely.
This has been so informative, and Dr. Randy, folks, is just like, who's the author again? How can I get the book? How can I get to it? All through the feed and everything. So we're gonna do that. But let's go here, Joshua. How can people and students get a hold of you if they have questions that they might want to ask you as being a rising senior in your senior year, and other like Dr. Randy was saying, having safe forums? Maybe you are starting your own forum with rising seniors who are graduating in the midst of COVID. How can they get a hold of you? Is it no? Okay.
Graduating pandemic. I never thought, graduating in the midst of a pandemic. Lord have mercy. But you can get a hold of me, Joshua Dantzler. So you see my name there. I'm on Facebook here, Joshua Dantzler. And then on Instagram and Twitter, I'm at PREZ Prez Joshua. So all together, PREZ JLSHUA on Instagram and Twitter, and on Facebook, Joshua Dantzler.
Awesome. Man, thank you so much for joining with us today. And we salute you. We are proud of you. Going through the college ranks, we know, growing and even being a student at a predominantly white institution like I was, the microaggressions and everything is real. Stepping on that campus at UC Berkeley was a lot, even in the 80s. Don't judge me, because I was there then. Was a lot, with 40,000 students, and you're the only person of color in a class of 300, 400, some cases, 1,200 of that lecture, and still fighting your way. They're looking at you. So we applaud you and support you, man, and just salute what you are doing, and keep up the good work. Definitely. Tamir, I called you Tamar earlier. I saw you last time. Oh my God. How can we get a hold of you? And tell us also, you haven't talked about your nonprofit organization. That you're doing some great work, man, as a young Black man. Talk to us. How can we get a hold of you? And tell us about your organization.
Indeed, thank you. It's been a pleasure to join y'all this evening. So, back in 2016, my junior year of high school, I co-founded a nonprofit called Urb Ed. So the first syllables of urban and the first syllables of education. And we are disruptors of urban education, starting in Philadelphia, where I was born and raised, because we've seen inequities in education. So we're looking at the pedagogical approaches to education. We're talking about how do we reimagine school safety and health. How are we looking at building conditions to fair funding, all the way to how do we diversify the classroom, because 2% of the nation's public school teachers are black males is not enough. So we're doing the work. We're a small organization of just literally high school students and alumni of the School District of Philadelphia being disruptors of an urban education system. So if anyone's interested in being involved, please, I'm on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook at Tamir D. Harper. As well, my website is tamirdharper.com, and then we're at urbedadvocates.org and at urbedadvocates on all social media platforms.
Love it, man. That's exciting. Starting as a junior in high school, who thinks like that? Our future great leaders right here on our show. We are so proud of both of you. In fact, I got the email today from that. I signed up, part of the mail-in list and all that too. So I'm excited for you, man. Great job, and proud of both of you with that. Dr. Smothers, wow, I'm honored and just all that you. How can people get a hold of you, and how can future students? Definitely, we want to drive them your way too, because your HBCU, we need to support more of and do what we can with that.
Well, thank you very much. And again, I just appreciate the opportunity to be a part of these great thinkers and men of action tonight. And my website for the college is easy. It's just www.philander.edu. My personal email address is just rsmothers. You see my name there, just rsmothers@philander.edu. I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, I'm on Twitter. My handles are Philander 14th Prez, and you can find me there. And I will tell you, we oftentimes say, you think that what we as presidents are saying is just rhetoric, but I will say to you, while I'm a proponent of the PWI experience, because I went to Louisiana State University, I have fallen in love with the HBCU experience. And once I received my PhD from LSU, I made the commitment to only work at HBCUs because of what they do for our people. And if you want a real experience where an institution will transform your student into someone who's going to make a difference in the world, I encourage you to try any of our HBCUs.
Yes.
They all offer a unique experience, but if you want a real unique experience, I encourage you to take a look at Philander Smith College down in Little Rock, Arkansas.
All right, I love it.
We'll take good care of your student. Just send them my way. Thank you all so much for this opportunity.
Thank you. Last but definitely not least, our mental health specialist himself, Dr. Randy. Talk to us. How can we get your books? How can we get a hold of you? Man, you're doing some great things. Thank you.
I appreciate that, brothers. Thanks again for the opportunity. Just a great forum. What a great conversation. I want people to be able to reach me. First of all, they can reach me online at drsteinersspeaks.com. So Dr. whole word Steiners, my last name, speaks.com. And then reach me on Instagram at mentalhop, MENTALHOP. Those are the easier ways to get me, best ways to reach out to me. Shoot me a DM or message me on the website. And I got 2 books. So I got Wake Up Calls for Life, which is that daily read you plugged before. So I appreciate that. And then this month, during COVID-19, I released my new book, which is Good Vibes with Dr. S, that just came out as well. And this is also just a positive read. So when we're talking about writing during this pandemic, that's what I turned to. I turned to writing and finishing up a brand new book to get to people. And it's talking about self-compassion, Black self-care, so much stuff in there on goals, dreams, purpose, reciprocity, all types of things, resiliency, all in that book. So looking forward to connecting everybody. And thanks again for having me. And I look forward to reaching out to you guys in the future.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you.
As always, Thomas, come on, brother, co-host. How do we get a hold of you? What you're doing with limitless possibilities?
All I'm going to say, Marty, is if they could just put the information on the screen. It's not about me tonight. I want to say tonight to this entire panel, this discussion has helped me tremendously from the therapeutic side to the academic side to the business side to understanding the mindsets of our youth. Like, if anything, if you could do one thing, if you could just show all of us right quick, because I want the world to see this right quick. We have different generations on this thing here this evening. You got your seasoned brothers. That's not me, by the way. And just your millennials. You have young people that are out here in the street advocating for racial injustice, inequities, everything up until leading a HBCU campus.
That's right.
To end it with somebody that's going to tell somebody who is uncomfortable with saying, I need help, to use hip hop music.
Yeah.
You are seeing how we are doing as men of color in COVID-19. We are stepping outside of the box.
That's it.
And we just gave you a presentation of what it means, America, to step outside of your box. So it's not about me this evening. I wanted it to be about the people. I wanted it to be about the point of giving somebody something to take something away. So you can reach me at Limitless. If you find me, great. If not, catch me next Tuesday. I'll be back.
Well, as always, we want to thank all of our guests tonight for coming on, and those of you who are watching. Listen, please like and share this. There has been some dynamic things here. You got real a college president here that you can talk to. Again, my name is Martina Sellers. Please check us out on Martina's. What's my website? I forgot it. There we go. Mental Health Marty. I got so excited with that. And please check out our podcast also. I can be on Facebook at Mental Health Matters with Marty, on YouTube with Martina Sellers, and then on our podcast with Mental Health Matters with Marty. Please download on any of your podcasting streams. If you're on Apple, we would love for you to give us a 5-star rating and a review with that. And to be up to date with everything that happens with Mental Health Matters with Marty, you can text I Matter to 31996. We thank you for joining us again on this week on our part 1 of COVID Schooling College Edition. Next week, we have another 5 brilliant college students coming on to talk about their experience and how we are creating community among colleges. Again, it is our desire that you don't suffer in silence, in the shadow of shame, but that you speak up, speak out, and live. Until next week, be safe.